Why on earth are we okay with paying triple the price for something just because we bought it on credit? Imagine walking into a shop, picking up a $50 jacket, and agreeing to pay $150 for it over time. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, that's exactly what happens when you don't deal with debt quickly enough. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how fast you should pay off your debt, but also why it's so important to act now before your wallet takes any more punches. And I'll take you through some simple techniques to pay off debt so that you have more control over your finances and life. Let's start with interest, because that's really the driving force behind why debt gets out of control. When you borrow money, whether it's from a credit card, a personal loan, or even a student loan, you agree to pay back the original amount, called the principal, plus interest. Interest is essentially the cost of borrowing. It's how lenders make their money, and believe me, they make a lot. For example, if you borrow $1,000 on a credit card with a 20% annual interest rate, you'll owe $1,200 at the end of the year if you don't make any payments. That extra $200 doesn't reduce your debt, by the way. It just lines the lender's pockets. Now, here's the part where things get tricky. Some interest compounds. This means that if you don't pay off that $1,200, the next year's interest isn't just calculated on the original $1,000. It's calculated on the entire $1,200. The interest starts piling up on top of itself, and your debt grows faster than you think. This is why so many people feel stuck in debt. The longer it sits, the harder it becomes to dig out. It's not just about what you borrowed anymore, it's about the growing cost of waiting to pay it back. Let's put this into perspective. Say you owe $10,000 on a credit card with a 25% interest rate and make only the minimum payment each month, maybe around 2% of your balance. It could take you over 20 years to pay off that debt. During that time, you'd pay more than $20,000 in interest alone. That's $30,000 total for a $10,000 debt. And that's assuming you don't keep using the card, which most people do. It's almost like you're paying for the same thing 3 times and getting nothing extra for it. Here's why this happens. When you make a minimum payment on your debt, a big chunk of that payment goes toward the interest, not the principal. Let's say your minimum payment is $200 and $150 of that goes toward interest. That means only $50 actually reduces your debt. At that rate, it can feel like you're throwing money into a black hole because you're not making much progress. This is why paying off debt as fast as possible matters so much. The sooner you wipe it out, the less money you waste on interest, and the faster you can get back to building your financial future. So, how do you pay off debt quickly? There are a few strategies to choose from, and the right one depends on your situation and personality. Let's break them down. First, there's debt consolidation. This is where you combine multiple debts into one, ideally with a lower interest rate. For example, you might take out a personal loan at 10% interest to pay off several credit cards with rates of 20% or more. This simplifies your payments and reduces the total interest you'll pay. Another option is a balance transfer card. Some credit card companies offer promotional rates, like 0% interest for a limited time, to encourage you to transfer your existing balances. If you can pay off the balance during that promotional period, you will save a lot on interest. But consolidation is not a cure-all. It doesn't eliminate your debt, it just reorganizes it. If you're not careful, you might end up back in the same situation or worse. For example, if you use a balance transfer card but don't pay off the debt before the promotional rate ends, the interest rate can jump back up to 20% or more. Plus, many balance transfer cards charge a fee, usually around 3 to 5% of the amount you transfer. So while consolidation can be a helpful tool, it requires discipline and careful planning. Next, there's the debt avalanche method. This strategy prioritizes paying off debts with the highest interest rates first while making minimum payments on everything else. Once you clear the highest interest debt, you move on to the next one, and so on. This method saves you the most money over time because it minimizes the total interest you pay. Let's say you have a $5,000 credit card at 25% interest, a $3,000 personal loan at 10%, and a $1,000 store card at 20%. With the avalanche method, you'd focus on the $5,000 credit card first, then the store card, and finally the personal loan. The downside to the Avalanche method is that it can take a while to see results. If your highest interest debt is also your largest, it might feel like you're not making any progress, even though you are. This lack of immediate gratification can be super demotivating, and that's where the debt snowball method comes in. The debt snowball method focuses on building momentum. Instead of prioritizing interest rates, you tackle your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate. Once you pay off the smallest debt, you move on to the next smallest, and so on. The idea is that by knocking out smaller debts quickly, you get a psychological boost that keeps you motivated. Let's use the same debt amounts as before. With the snowball method, you'd start with the $1,000 store card, then move to the $3,000 personal loan, and finally tackle the $5,000 credit card. While this approach might cost you more in interest, the sense of accomplishment can make it easier to stick with your plan. And as you pay off each debt, you free up more money to apply to the next one, so your progress speeds up over time. So which method is better? That completely depends on you. The Avalanche method is mathematically the most efficient, but the snowball method can be more effective if you need motivation to stay on track. The key is to pick a method that works for your personality and stick with it. Consistency is way more important than perfection. Regardless of which method you choose, the first step is to create a budget. You need to know where your money is going so you can free up as much as possible for debt repayment. Start by listing all your expenses: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and so on. Then look for areas where you can cut back. Maybe you can cook at home more often, cancel unused subscriptions, or find a cheaper cell phone plan. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can put towards your debt. Another super important step is to build an emergency fund. This might seem counterintuitive. Why save money when you're trying to pay off debt? But an emergency fund acts as a safety net. Without it, an unexpected expense like a car repair or medical bill could force you to use your credit cards again, undoing your progress. Aim for at least $1,000 to start and then focus on your debt. Once you've paid off your debt, the real fun begins. All the money you were putting towards your payments is now yours to keep. You can use it to build a bigger emergency fund, invest for retirement, or finally take that vacation you've been dreaming about. Being debt-free doesn't just mean financial freedom. It means you have more choices and less stress. Trust me, I know debt can feel overwhelming, but it does not have to control your life. By understanding how interest works, choosing the right repayment strategy, and staying consistent, you can take back control of your finances. And the best time to start? Right now. The longer you wait, the more interest piles up, and the harder it becomes to get out of. But with the right plan and a little determination, you can pay off your debt faster than you think. And trust me, the freedom is worth every single penny. Do you use any of the strategies that I talked about to pay off debt, or are you planning on using one of these strategies? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.